My name is Torsten Kordon. I'm working at Continental AG, the tire and automotive supplier. I'm part of the HR function in the global people services at Conti. And I'm very much looking forward to the conference where I will present the current activities we have around the usage of our artificial intelligence, automation tools, etc., in our HR services, and what strategic directions we derive from that. So looking forward to that, looking forward to meeting many of you there and engaging in discussions and exchange and having a bit of fun. So we at Continental approached this topic from the problem side, not from the technology side so much. So not looking at what are all the greatest and latest technologies available, but what is a problem we want to solve? And the problem we want to tackle with AI, one very specific one here, is that in automating HR service, the requests that come into the service centers usually come in writing, meaning in an unstructured text way. And to solve this at the current tools we have available, and most of the companies have available, is that you have to either force the employee to submit their request in a structured way, or that your administrators have to structure the unstructured text they receive. So we set up a project we coined Ticket Automation Project to test if artificial intelligence tools can help us as a puzzle piece to structure the unstructured so that neither the employee is forced into often unloved employee self-service, management self-service, or please fill in this template solutions, but can just submit in an unstructured way. And that also neither nor the administrator have to key in what they see on the left screen and key it in on the right screen in a structured way. That was how we approached it and tried to yield savings this way. When we look at cost savings resulting out of the AI tools that are meanwhile more and more available, I think in general that's not genuine to Conti. You can differentiate between cases that makes employees and managers' lives easier, which I often refer to as funny money cases, because there you save people's time, and either this time is then used in a meaningful way or not. Yeah, so efficiency case. And these are the cases, also the before mentioned ticket automation, the cases that are fewer, where AI can lead to immediate ultimate cost savings you can actually realize by reducing costs in another way. And when we say HR services, these cost reductions usually mean labor cost reductions, so replacing manual labor with technology. These cases are still at the beginning, I would say. In our area with the ticket automation, we also hear here and there from other companies. But we are convinced from what we started with that there are opportunities in that regard to scale these cases. And right now we are strategizing how to best reap them from a technology point of view, from a process governance point of view, from a make or buy point of view. And this is what we aim for in the future. In the mentioned ticket automation project, we had to train a language model based on our own data. And the biggest challenge in training this language model is actually the initial training, the first training of the model. It's not running later on the AI solution. It's not the iterative improvements, it's the initial training. And why is that? Because you have a challenge between volume, so how much data do you have available to train the model, and legal restrictions, what data are you allowed to use how? So the task we were faced, and that's true for all other companies and providers, is how to make use of historical personal data, person by person data, not generic data, but data that is attached to an individual employee. Here we use tickets, so data from the incoming tickets, to train the model. And as it's data in the past, so we always speak of data as the new oil. Yeah, we're sitting on huge sources of oil, but are you allowed to tap them? And there the legal restrictions are quite tricky. So we were forced to anonymize the data for the initial training, not for the later usage, but for the initial training, which meant for us increased efforts to anonymize them, and also a drastic reduction in the data available for the training, because we were sitting on hundreds, thousands of tickets, but ultimately were only able to use a 4-digit number for the initial training. At the end of this day, we still succeeded. The model performed as we liked, but now we have to invest more into the iterative improvement of the language model once we are live, as the legal setup is there different to the initial training. That's what we encountered. And I think interesting to see and hear how other dealt with this or will deal with this if they go into training models in the future. All the high standards that are applied today also apply to anything we do with AI, be it GDPR, be it our cybersecurity rules and structures. So we use the AI tools we have, and we now implement it. Here we use existing software and infrastructure that Continental already applied within the company, not in the area of HR services, maybe in the area of R&D, software engineering, maybe in other support functions. So we used what is there and what was already approved in regards to cybersec and everything, which make things much easier than buying something completely new. In the mentioned ticket automation project, I can tell you we invested almost as much energy and time in ensuring that all data protection requirements are met, all cybersecurity requirements are met, all the legal checks and evaluations and documents are in place. It took as much energy and time as did the actual development of the software solution. Now, the good thing is when we scale it up now, we have this tick marked and can invest all our time and energy on technology and process improvements. The impact of AI on employees is different to different types and groups of employees. I think when we look into the HR organization and HR services, the employees themselves dealing then and handling AI tools as they do already today and more in the future, what we will see that for many employees, this will mean that the content of the job will change. It has already in the past, also with tools like Excel, PowerPoint, and so on, a couple of decades ago. And this is more like a trend that continues and is now intensified with AI, which basically means that these jobs will become more driven towards tasks that are not replaceable or not and should not be automated, like conversation, like having dialogues, consulting, dealing with emotions that cannot be handled in a structured, automated way, but where human need to speak with human, people to people. Not a new trend, but it will intensify. But there's another group where we will see a heavy competition for talent, because so far AI doesn't develop itself by itself. There is some coding technology like this, but that's not the driver. You need people that build the models for you, that train the models, that develop your processes. And that are the often mentioned data scientists, IT experts, automation specialists, and so on. And the competition there is already hot and will intensify further, which makes us also consider and look again at the make or buy option in that game, because we are automotive supplier and tire manufacturer. The goal of a company like Conti is not to develop software solutions for support functions, but to sell tires and automotive supplies. So I think there, the ambition, how fast you want to move, what competences do you want to have in your organization, and where you look for partnerships to develop solutions will be a key question for us and maybe also for others. Looking at this question from a question of service hub strategies. So where do you have your service hubs around the world? What have you got global? Where do you have regional or even country services? We are towards changing our model there towards more a global hub and spoke approach. But what we consider much more in this than like we did in the past is, how does automation change the way you look and assess your hub strategy? So far, you looked a lot, and we looked a lot at this from a perspective of labor availability as well as labor arbitrage. Most of the cases in the past decades rested very much on this. Also, since a couple of years, everybody is hoping for automation, process efficiency, etc., being much more relevant for the cases than purely labor arbitrage. And I think if we really put our bet on automation, it must be that case. So we have to see, how does our hub strategy change when we think of topics like, can we neutralize language in the future? So far, when you look at hubs and where do you place your people, you look at where do I find the language skills. Is this still a question in the future, or will technology reduce this barrier because you can neutralize language to a certain way? We also look at it from not bundling things in hubs for the sake of bundling and labor arbitrage, leaving things like they are, but for creating more volume. Forcing more standardization, lift and shift, yes, but forcing standardization, because if you want to automate, if AI should really kick in, you need one thing: volume. And volume comes from bundling. So a hub is a mean to the end of creating volume for automation. So I think these aspects will become much more relevant in assessing where do we place people, where do we build our hubs, as it was in the past. I believe that all the discussion around AI, when we look at HR, the topic of delanguaging, language neutralization, is the ultimate game changer for the function and for the potential of this technology. Why is that? Number one, when you look at support functions, you have support functions like HR, also IT, also procurement here and there, that are what could be called public functions. They have a lot of interactions with employees. We have 200,000 employees, and this is how HR works. This is your customers. These are the service recipients. This is what you deal with, and this is based on language. Finance functions differently. Yeah. It's not 200,000 people asking finance. It's the controllers working with the finances and the general managers. So for the public functions, language neutralization will be key. Secondly, it will change the way we see and perceive and live HR. Because if you want to reap the benefits from language neutralization, you have to go much more into written communication. Because yes, language neutralization, maybe even a little bit more in the future, might also work in an oral form, but the written one is much easier. So the channeling of requests and the interface between employee and the function will become much more written, be it chat, be it emails, be it tickets, than it was in the past. And you have to force it. You have to tell the people, this is how we run our function, and you cannot speak about all your topics in person with anyone. Then you can reap the benefits, and you need to actively decide for that. If you do that, written, I very much believe that the capabilities we already see from translation tools today, that you can become much more footloose. When you think of your of hubs, where do you place your service structures? At the moment, especially when you have large operations in Germany, you always look at where do I find this German skills? Do I go to Poland? Go to Romania? And usually you have a hub in the region. When you look at the US colleagues, because English is already more or less a neutralized language, they can directly place their activities in Manila because English is the language. So if we overcome this, we have much different opportunities to move activities globally and not be restricted by language. So I think, again, language neutralization for a function like HR is the ultimate game changer that we will see in the future. When we look at the next 5 to 10 years, I think you can look at it from two angles. From the front end, so the interface between the employee and the HR function, as well as then to the back end, the processing of activities. Front end, when I look there, I envision the major changes. We are a production company. We have blue-collar employees. We have tire plants, we have automotive plants, and there is still some real industry. Yeah? So real smelly and real big machines and a lot of blue-collar workers. And many production companies, and so do we, are still struggling of creating one digital approach to white collar and blue collar. When I look towards the future, we must solve that for the sake of efficiency, but also for the sake of equal treatment. So all employees, including the blue collars, will be able to get answers to their questions or to send requests or to request documents or and so on do it virtually, do it digital from the smartphone, be it their own smartphone or shared company devices. This is a necessity. And these solutions will be able to identify the requester. So what is important for really becoming efficient is that it's not generic answers to anonymous people, but an answer to a specific person. Not the question, when is the train running, but what is the seat I have booked? These solutions we need to build. That's the front end. The back end, I think there it's more evolution, but intensified evolution of end-to-end process automation. We hear it since years, end-to-end process automation, but always we are missing here and there a little puzzle piece to really have seamless flows. We believe that the AI technologies, especially when it comes to automated structuring of incoming requests, will yield end-to-end opportunities there. And this is what I think, beside the before-mentioned language neutralization, what I envision the HR services to change in the next 5 to 10 years. This we can keep very crisp. I look forward for exchange and learning from others.